Welcome to a new VoltLog. So recently I've been designing and working on some higher power DC to DC converters which need 12 volts, 15 to 20 amps at input, and with the best power supply I had on my workbench, the UNI-T UDP6330S, even if I connected these two outputs in parallel, I still could only get 10 amps out of it. So I decided to purchase this UDP6730 from UNI-T with my own money. Yes, I do promote UNI-T products because they're very good value for money as shown in my reviews, and yes, I have received them for free in the past, but sometimes there is test gear I really need for my work and I just purchase it with my own money. So this little guy, the UDP6730, does 40 volts up to 30 amps up to 360 watts single output, and the list price for this is roughly 335 euros at lsshop.eu, which is the place where I got it from. I highly recommend them if you need test gear or soldering supplies. They've also agreed to provide a discount code for my viewers in the description below, which is valid for ordering UNI-T power supplies from their website. The discount coupon will only be valid until the end of the year, so after that I will be removing it from the video description because it will no longer be valid. And a nice little detail that you might not be aware of this is that these UNI-T PSUs, they come with a standard 3-year warranty, but you can extend that to 5 years for free by registering on their website. So this particular model is a switch mode power supply, comes in this vertical form factor. It does have a cooling fan on the back. It has these vents on the sides for sucking in fresh air. The mains power switch is located on the front, which is very convenient. The single output terminals are here. These are standard 19mm spacing, and there's a separate earth terminal. The binding posts do have the small hole through the middle, so you can insert wires if you wish to do so, but they are not fully removable, so you cannot insert I-terminal connectors. There is a 2.8-inch TFT screen on the front. We have just one rotary knob for adjustment, and we have to switch between volts and amps. There are 3 memory preset keys, an output on-off button which is illuminated depending on the status with a green light, and a few more keys for navigating the menu. On the back we see the cooling fan. It does have variable speed, but don't expect it to be quiet. An RS-232 interface on this DB9 connector. We have remote sense terminals, an AC selector switch, which makes this an universal input power supply, and down here there is also an earth point. The weight of this unit is 2.5 kilograms. Now let's mention a few of the main specs. As you'll notice, the UDP6730 is just one model out of a range of different models they offer with different specs, but for this we're going to have up to 360 watts output, reading accuracy better than 0.1% plus 10 millivolts for voltage, or 0.3% plus 30 milliamps for current, voltage ripple less than 12 millivolts RMS value. They only give an RMS value, which is pretty good on its own. The set resolution is 10 millivolts 1 milliamp, the readback resolution 10 millivolts 1 milliamp up to 10 amps, and 10 milliamps above 10 amps. Turning it on reveals the quick boot up time, the user interface, and let me just peel off this screen protection. I can hear a noticeable humming noise coming from the cooling fan. It sounds like it's running at a lower RPM, but whenever you run this at higher loads, you will hear the fan slowly ramp up. The user interface looks pretty simple and clean, intuitive, I might add. You don't need a user manual to learn how to use this. We can see the status. It says off right here. Let me just adjust the angle because this is not the best viewing angle for this LCD. We can see the voltage, current and power readback in this yellow larger font, and the white font on the right, it is showing the set values plus the safety limits, the values for the limits below. Now if you press the volts button, it will let you adjust the voltage. If you press the amps button, it will let you adjust the amperage. If you press on the rotary knob, it will switch between the digit it is adjusting. You can also do that using the arrow keys. And if you move away from one setting, let's say from amps to volts and back again to amps, you'll notice it remembers the digit you were setting, which is quite a nice attention to detail. It also shows you an estimated output maximum power for the given settings you're inputting. Pressing the output button obviously turns on the output. That is instantly signaled by a couple of LEDs. The output button is lit up green right now. It says on the display, and there's also the constant current and constant voltage LED right here between the output terminals. If the PSU were to operate in constant current mode, because, you know, like I'm doing here, I'm shorting the output, that is immediately signaled by the red LED here between the output terminals and by the CC sign on the display. For adjusting the overvoltage protection or the overcurrent protection limits, you have to long press the volt button or long press the amp button. And to actually enable the limits, you have to long press the knob. And that will put a check mark. Once these limits are in place, it won't let you go over those values. The memory presets work as you would expect, and you can save them from the actual current set values by long pressing any one of the memory keys. And you'll get a confirmation message on the screen. And I can't stress this enough. This is what I like a lot about this unit. This is why I picked this particular power supply and not another one. Of course, it covers the specs that I need. In fact, it far exceeds the specs that I need, but it comes from a reputable manufacturer. It was decently priced. It has 5 years of warranty, but most importantly, it's just very easy to use. It gets the job done without any burden. The menu system is very simple. There's a menu key. There's only a few options in here which give you access to a few settings, like, you know, you can turn on the buzzer on or off. You can set the display brightness. You can view the different memory channels and their settings. You can set the output status on power on. You can adjust the language and, of course, the settings of the RS-232 interface. And that's pretty much it, nothing too complicated. There's also a bit of programming functionality built into this PSU, so if we use the arrow keys on the main screen, the first option is the delayer function, which basically gives you the option to set up to 48 individual steps for cycling the output on or off with a delay for each state. And then if you press the arrow keys once again, it gets you to this mode, which is the list mode. This basically gives you the ability to again set up to 48 individual steps with different voltage and current levels in this mode. So I guess these are useful for setting up automated test procedures. Now I'll quickly run you through some tests and measurements I performed on this PSU. And the first thing I did was to check the reading accuracy, and I took a number of samples for both voltage and current, and I just compared them with my UNI-T UT6805E multimeter. And these are the results I got for voltage measurements. We notice a constant 10 millivolt offset for up to 5 volts. That's nice and predictable and within spec. It's probably something that has been recorded during the calibration procedure. And if you subtract this offset, which is in the accuracy spec, you're left with practically 0% calculated error. It's not actually 0%, it's just below what can be measured given the number of digits and the resolution they spec for the PSU. For measuring current accuracy, I had to resort to using resistors as passive loads and varying the output voltage on the PSU to get to the desired current levels I wanted to measure. Because I tried using the KP184 electronic load, that's not, a perfect high performance linear load. It does have some oscillations which are visible on the current measurement of the PSU because the PSU is probably running this measurement at a higher sampling rate without any possibility of applying like a higher number of samples, filtering a slow filter like the multimeter can do. So to get my measurement errors as low as possible, I used just these, these big resistors as loads. And here are the results, only measured up to 10 amps because that's the maximum the UT8805E can do. Again, no issues because the spec is better than 0.3% plus 30 milliamps. And if you account for the fixed offset, which the spec gives up to that, plus 30 milliamps, now the proportional accuracy is essentially perfect. But to be honest, this is no surprise because the spec itself is not so tight, not so challenging. This is a high power switching supply, so this is not something you would use to power your low noise, low power sub 100 milliamp circuit. Next up, I measured the output ripple voltage. I used the Rigol oscilloscope for these measurements. The scope was set to AC coupling, peak detect mode, bandwidth limited to 20 MHz, 1x probe setting, and as you can see here, I am using my VoltLog patent pending probing technique to get the best measurements, low noise, low inductance, minimizing common mode noise. So this is our baseline, PSU output turned off. We are in the microvolt range here when everything is turned off, and this is when I turn on the PSU, output at 5 volts, no load. We are at 2.8 millivolt RMS, 85 millivolt peak to peak. Let me remind you that the spec is less than 12 millivolt RMS value. They don't give a peak to peak value. Now let's also try at 40 volt, the maximum output with no load. And at this level, it seems that noise does go down a bit at the higher range of the output. But this is typical behavior for DC to DC converters. Now let's also try it with some loads on my electronic load. This is 10 amps, this is 15 amps, this is 20 amps, next is 25 amps, and next 30 amps. Yes, we can see it varies with load, but it stays below the claimed figure of 12 millivolts RMS, which honestly is pretty good considering that this is a switch mode architecture and high power by nature. Next, I tested the output voltage behavior when there is a sudden change in load. Output was set to 4 volts and I used a resistor which created a load of approximately 5 to 6 amps. And there's going to be a little bit of contact bounce because I am manually, removing a connector, but we can see the voltage jumps approximately 420 millivolts from the nominal, but it only stays up there for roughly 5 to 10 milliseconds before, regulation is fully stable again. It gets back very close to the nominal. Now, on a sudden addition of the same load, we notice a much faster reaction time. Again, there is some contact bounce happening, but given the nature of this PSU, switch mode, high power, I think that's perfectly acceptable. Then I tested the power on behavior to see how cleanly the PSU ramps up to the set voltage. First, no load, soft output button turn on. We can see a small artifact happening right at power on. Then it takes about 200 milliseconds to reach 4 volt. But very important, there is no overshoot. The same test was performed here with the main power switch, and we got almost identical results. No issues observed other than that artifact in the beginning. Practically the two waveforms look identical. And next up, I know everyone was waiting for this, including myself. Let's do a teardown of this PSU. It looks like there will be a bunch of screws that I will need to be taking out, so I'll speed up this part of the video. And we're in. The build quality looks very good in here. First of all, the metal work is standard folded metal construction, but looks like super high quality, clean, thick metal. The paint looks very good. Here is our nice big main power switch in here. It's nicely insulated on the bottom of this small carrier PCB. It looks like this power supply has a main power PCB with a daughter PCB in here containing what looks like, control loop analog bits. Then there is a third digital microcontroller board behind the front panel. There is the cooling fan that we were seeing through the back of the power supply, but there is one extra cooling fan which I didn't know it has, but it's located right here and it's blowing air right across these two. I really like the attention to detail they put in here. The wiring is nicely secured. There are connectors on all ends of the wires. The earth connection that comes through this wire goes through this ferrite ring and then is secured to the PCB. and the metal chassis through this screw here. But then there is more, because there are multiple earth points that are clearly marked on the PCB. Not sure you can see this. This is another earth point that basically goes through this terminal, and then there's another one up here, and then another one down there, which basically transfers the earth connection to the earth terminal on the front panel. The hot and the cold parts of the circuit are nicely separated on both the front and the back of this PCB. And on the back of the PCB we have some additional surface mount components. Overall, a really nice and clean layout. I also noticed a separate switching converter in this area. If I would have to guess, this is probably generating something like a 12 or 15 volt rail to power the front panel and the control analog electronics. Capacitors seem to be from one of the lower cost Chinese brands, but it makes you wonder if they're offering a 5-year warranty. Have they selected and tested, the best that these brands have to offer? Maybe. I don't plan on completely taking this apart. There's just not too much happening on that front panel control PCB, probably just an STM32 or similar microcontroller on there. But I do like a lot what I'm seeing on the back of this main board. Take a look at these components. Let me know in the comments below if you recognize these components and you know their function. These are high current jumper links, and they're used in here to increase the current carrying capability of these PCB tracks. So they're not relying, on just using thicker copper on the PCB or exposing that copper through the solder mask so that it can take on more solder during the soldering process like they're doing here. They're actually installing proper high current jumper links so they can guarantee their circuit is stable temperature wise and can carry the proper high current of 40 amps through these connections. And just look at the soldering. It's superb. Every joint is perfect and the heat sinks are secured with screws. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing in here, and the only thing I would change about this is to maybe use a well-known brand of capacitors instead of these. And that's something I can definitely do if the time for a replacement comes, but that 5-year warranty, I'm not worried of that happening anytime soon. I haven't really played with the RS-232 interface. I expect that to be pretty annoying to use. It does support skippy commands, so in theory it is possible to use both the provided software or write your own for automating stuff, but your mileage may vary depending on how much effort you're willing to put into it. And now to wrap this up, I'm pretty happy with what I got for my money. The power supply works excellent for supplying power to some of the higher powered circuits that I'm working on, and it does so while providing excellent specs in terms of output noise, even though this is a switch mode PSU at its core. The user interface is simple and effective, doesn't get in my way, it's very easy to use. To be honest, I'm not sure if I would want something changed on this. Maybe, having separate knobs for current and voltage would have been nice, but given the available space, that's understandable. And it's certainly not a deal breaker because the way it's designed, it just works really well. And with that 5-year warranty and the excellent build quality we've seen inside during the teardown, I'm pretty sure this power supply will serve me well for many years to come. And don't forget, if you want to get an UNI-T power supply from lashop.eu, check out the description below for a discount code which is valid for 2 weeks only until the end of 2025. I hope this video was useful. If you were searching for a new power supply for your workbench, maybe this video will help you decide on that. As usual, I welcome your feedback in the comments below. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!